Good afternoon. I'm Robert Studdiford. I've lived in the El Cerrito for the last 8 years. Okay. I don't think that's going to correct. Okay. I've lived in El Cerrito for the last 8 years. For the last 8 years, I've also been a parent volunteer, and I volunteered at a pretty high level. When my children, Liam and Adrian, entered Castro Elementary, I joined the PTA. I also joined the SAG Council. I served on PTA at Castro Elementary for 4 years. I was a vice president and president of the PTA. During that time, I also joined the Citizens Bond Oversight Committee, where I spent 4 years watching the program grow from 1.1 million to 1.1 billion. I'm also currently a member of the Citizens Budget Advisory Committee. I've spent a lot of time. I've attended every single school board meeting for the last 2 years, and many prior to that due to the fact that I sat on these committees. And when I go to the school board meeting, I go at 6:30. I'm there at 6:30 when the closed door session ends, and I'm there when it stops at the end of the night. And sometimes that's at 1 o'clock in the morning. I'd say on an average we're working at about 11:30 to 12. It's important for me to stay for the whole meeting and to listen to the whole thing, because everything that goes on in this district are very long, drawn-out conversations. They have very serious implications for each one of the decisions that's being discussed. And if you don't stay to the end, many of these items are brought up and discussed right there at the school board meeting. But if you don't stay to the end of that meeting, you don't actually understand what the 5 board members are really thinking. That's when they get to speak about issues and tell the public what's going on. So if you're really not there and watching that part, you're not fully informed. I've participated in the classroom, through site council, where we spend money for sites that the state gives us so that the parents of the school can actually make a decision about how do we enrich the education of our kids. It's a very basic thing. When I started doing this 8 years ago, I actually figured out what democracy was. For the first time, I had one vote, and I used it all the time. And I could see the accomplishments of my one vote. I was able to get an elementary principal put into Castro. For 9 years, we had 9 principals in 10 years. And I looked at that, and that very much bothered me, because I kept seeing Castro as an underperforming school. But I knew that without a stable administration, the teachers would not be able to work together as a group to bring everything up, to bring our test scores up, and to work as a family, which every elementary, in my opinion, is. As from my position on the Bond Oversight Committee, I spent 4 years there, and it opened up my eyes to not only is my little district my little elementary school, but it also has this great vast expanse of the West County. From that time, I learned so much about the district, how big it is, how many different varied interests there are. And I was able to, in my second year, look at buildings that were designed without kitchens. And that impacted me as a PTA parent, because I understood that families couldn't gather at 6 o'clock, feed their kids, organize as a group, and then have their kids home at bed at 8 o'clock, so that they'd be at school refreshed and ready to go the next day. I couldn't grow the parent support and educate my parents as to the necessity of them buying into public school in the elementary days. After that, I was able to, because I was a former tradesman, I looked at the building specs on the new El Cerrito High School and understood what Title 24 energy efficiency ratings were. And I directed staff to go out and pursue a grant for solar funding so that we could put collectors on the El Cerrito High School. They're up there now. It didn't cost us. That to me showed me that further participation, the thing that's so important to me, is actual participation in the process. Showing up, being on time, and participating. You can have tremendous effect within that. I'm not your normal school board candidate. There are many things that I've done in my life that are different from everyone else here. But the one thing that you will take from me is that everything I've done, I've represented the entire district throughout my entire 8-year career. I've looked at the whole district as a whole because it's important. Without every part of it working together and being sound, the district doesn't work at all. I bring to you a current body of knowledge that consists of everything I've watched for the last 8 years, and I'm very current in that I've been to every meeting for the last 2 years. Thank you.